We're live from New Delhi, watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to embark on Saudi Arabia visit to further strengthen multifaceted partnership and boost energy and defence ties. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India and Saudi Arabia are working on a bilateral investment treaty, terms Saudi Arabia as one of India's most valued partners, trusted friend, strategic ally. US Vice President Vance holds talk with Prime Minister Modi in a heartwarming diplomatic exchange. Vance to visit Embark Fort near Jaipur today with family. World mourns the passing away of Pope Francis, a beacon of hope. Tributes pour in from across the globe. India declares 3-day state mourning. US stocks and dollar plunge as Trump attacks Fed Chair Powell again, says US economy could slow down unless interest rates were lowered immediately. And on to the top story this hour, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to embark on two-day visit to Saudi Arabia today, marking the first visit by an Indian leader to Saudi Arabia's commercial hub in over 4 decades. The high-profile visit underscores the remarkable transformation of India-Saudi relations from modest beginnings to a comprehensive strategic partnership spanning economic, defence and cultural dimensions. Here's more in this report.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's two-day visit to Jeddah comes amid growing economic ties between India and Saudi Arabia. It will be the first visit by an Indian leader to Saudi Arabia's commercial hub in over 4 decades. The high-profile visit underscores the remarkable transformation of India-Saudi relations from modest beginnings to a comprehensive strategic partnership spanning economic, defence and cultural dimensions. In the financial year 2023 to 2024, India's imports from Saudi Arabia amounted to $31.42 billion and exports stood at $11.56 billion. India and Saudi Arabia enjoy close friendly relations, reflecting the centuries-old economic and socio-cultural ties. Diplomatic relations between the two nations were established in the year 1947. The historic visit of King Abdullah to India in January 2006 was a watershed moment that resulted in the signing of the Delhi Declaration. It was followed later by the Riyadh Declaration in 2010, which elevated the bilateral relations to a strategic partnership. PM Modi's visit to Saudi Arabia is expected to result in several new agreements that will further strengthen the strategic partnership between the two nations, building on their shared interests in regional stability, energy security, and economic growth. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit will be a milestone in taking India-Saudi relations to a new height in an era of geopolitics marked by Donald Trump's tariff shock, Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative debt trap conundrum, and the Russia-Ukraine standoff. The visit will also be an opportunity for the Indian and Saudi leadership to exchange views on the situation in Gaza and efforts to end the Israel-Hamas conflict. Trade, connectivity, energy, security, defense, investment, diaspora, culture and cooperation are the focal points of the proposed meeting between PM Modi and Saudi Crown Prince and Prime Minister Mohammed bin Salman. The proposed India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor, or the IMEC, will attract significant attention of both the leaders. The IMEC underscores the growing economic and strategic convergence between India and the Middle East. It is seen as an opportunity for Indian and Saudi businesses to collaborate and benefit. For India and the Middle East, the IMEC signifies a deepening relationship with the convergence of the Middle East and South Asia into West Asia. For both sides, it can be instrumental in stimulating economic growth, creating jobs, and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. From Saudi Arabia and the UAE, it represents a diversification of partnerships between their roles as energy producers. India's trade ties with Saudi Arabia and the UAE are already substantial, and this corridor could further strengthen their economic integration. If the IMEC corridor materializes soon, it will give a huge boost to the kingdom's other entrepreneurship-driven ventures as well as the Neom City project, which will provide an alternate route to the troublesome Houthi-influenced Red Sea-Suez corridor. Indian investment in Saudi Arabia has increased significantly in recent years. These investments span diverse sectors including management and consultancy services, construction projects, telecommunications, information technology, financial services, software development, and pharmaceuticals. The Indian community in Saudi Arabia numbers at approximately 2.7 million and is a living bridge between the two countries. Bureau Report, DD, India.
And in an exclusive interview with Arab News, Prime Minister Narendra Modi described the kingdom as a trusted friend and strategic ally, emphasizing how bilateral relations had expanded significantly since the creation of the Strategic Partnership Council in 2019. Prime Minister Modi praised Saudi Crown Prince and Prime Minister Mohammed bin Salman's leadership, calling him a strong advocate of India-Saudi Arabia bilateral ties and a visionary who has inspired global admiration through the reforms under Vision 2030. It complements India's Viksit Bharat 2047 or Developed India by 2047 initiative, highlighting shared economic ambitions. Prime Minister Modi noted that trade between the two countries had grown even amid global challenges. India and Saudi Arabia are also working on a bilateral investment treaty. The proposed free trade agreement between India and Gulf Cooperation Council has immense potential to transform the economic relationship between India and Saudi Arabia and the region. Prime Minister welcomed a deeper integration of Saudi and Indian businesses, particularly in emerging sectors like green hydrogen and technology. India is also exploring joint projects in refineries and petrochemicals. Prime Minister Modi also pointed to growing defence cooperation and landmark joint military exercises as signs of increasing the strategic trust. Prime Minister Modi said the India-Middle East-Europe economic corridor would be a key catalyst of commerce, connectivity and growth in the entire region. It will facilitate development of resilient and dependable supply chains, increase trade accessibility and improve trade facilitation. Well, Prime Minister Modi congratulated the kingdom for winning the bids to host World Expo 2030 and FIFA World Cup 2034. He was grateful to Saudi leadership for the continued assistance provided to Indian nationals who visit Saudi Arabia each year for Umrah and Hajj pilgrimage, and thanked for support of the Saudi government to encourage yoga in their country. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi to arrive in Jeddah today, marking a significant milestone as the first Indian Prime Minister to visit Saudi Arabia's key commercial centre in over 4 decades. This visit is geared towards enhancing the strategic partnership between India and Saudi Arabia. DD India's Amritpal Singh reports for more from Jeddah.
Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia Mohammed bin Salman shall be receiving Prime Minister Modi when he arrives in Jeddah today. The Prime Minister shall be here for the next 2 days. The Crown Prince and the Prime Minister shall be co-chairing the second meeting of the Strategic Partnership Council, where trade and investment, energy security, defence cooperation and regional security issues will be high on the agenda of the talks.
Host of issues will be discussed on the economic partnership, on the defense partnership, on the political relationship. So we are expecting a very fruitful visit, very good discussions and very important outcomes.
On Wednesday, the Prime Minister shall be interacting with Indian workers at a factory here in Jeddah. There are about 2.7 billion Indian diaspora living and working in Saudi Arabia. Given that Saudi Arabia is a leading voice in the Islamic region, the situation in West Asia is likely to figure in the talks. Also, Saudi Arabia is playing an important role in the mediation between Russia and Ukraine. The two sides could exchange notes on that. Also, the fact that Saudi Arabia is an important partner of India in meeting its energy security needs, this would be high on the agenda. And out of the several MOUs that are expected to be signed, an important or a significant MOU in the energy sector could be signed between the two sides during this visit. With cameraman Saurav Bakshi, this is Amritpal Singh for DD India in Jeddah.
And Saudi Arabia's rapidly expanding healthcare sector driven by Vision 2030 presents significant opportunities for the Indian diaspora. The demand for Indian expertise is further bolstered by Saudi Arabia's push for advanced medical infrastructure and digital health solutions, with Indian companies and professionals playing a key role in telemedicine, hospital management and medical education.
We are really excited to have our beloved and honored Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, who is going to visit us for a 2-day visit here in Jeddah, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and he's taken the time to visit us, the Indian diaspora, and we are really looking forward to this. Most of us in healthcare, especially the nurses, are from our Indian community, and we see that there is a whole lot of chance and opportunity for our Indian community to, whether it is in perspective of their job security or education, there is more to be given in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
And for more, we have Amrit joining us from Jeddah on this. Well, Amrit, we saw your report. You said that Saudi Arabia is a key partner of India when it comes to meeting its energy security needs. So tell us why Saudi Arabia is important and why energy could figure high in the talks between the two sides.
That's right. Energy security is a key component of the bilateral relationship, given the fact that Saudi Arabia is the third largest supplier of both crude oil and LPG to India. India sources its energy needs from Saudi Arabia, about 14.3% of the crude oil imports and about 18% of the LPG from Saudi Arabia. Given that Saudi Arabia is a key producer of crude oil and LPG, India requires Saudi Arabia, and that is the bedrock. That's the bedrock of the relationship between the two sides. And this time around, we could see the signing of a very significant energy pact between the two sides after the two leaders meet.
All right. Also, Amrit, there is also a robust defense cooperation between the two sides, which could be seen as a forward movement on that.
Yes, that is likely to figure very prominently in the talks between the two leaders, given the fact that India has bagged a contract of about $225 billion for production of munitions in India for Saudi Arabia. The two sides would touch upon that and how that will be upscaled, given the fact that the focus of this government is make in India, especially in the defense sector. So India would want to boost its exports, while Saudi Arabia is trying to diversify the basket of its imports when it comes to defense stores. And also, the joint exercises between the two sides, both the cooperation between the navies of the two countries and the armies which have held joint exercises. The Indian Navy plays a crucial role in securing the Gulf of Aden, especially anti-piracy operations, protecting commercial liners. So this cooperation could figure in the talks, and in fact the two sides would try and look at how to strengthen this relationship between the two security forces and provide security to the region. That also assumes increased significance because of the constant attacks by the Houthi rebels from Yemen, which, if you look at the map, sits right on the south of Saudi Arabia, which is a cause of concern for the West Asia. And there, the India-Saudi Arabia cooperation could be vital in providing security to this region.
All right, Amrit, thank you so much for all those details from Jeddah. And moving on, Prime Minister Narendra Modi welcomed US Vice President J.D. Vance, currently on India visit, at his official residence in New Delhi. Prime Minister Narendra Modi met with US Vice President J.D. Vance, accompanied by the Second Lady Usha Vance, their children, and senior members of the US administration. Prime Minister fondly recalled his visit to Washington, D.C. in January and his fruitful discussions with President Trump, which laid down the roadmap for close cooperation between India and the US, leveraging the strengths of Make America Great Again. Prime Minister and Vice President Vance reviewed and positively assessed the progress in various areas of bilateral cooperation. They welcomed the significant progress in the negotiations for a mutually beneficial India-US bilateral trade agreement focused on the welfare of the people of the two countries. Likewise, they noted continued efforts towards enhancing cooperation in energy, defense, strategic technologies, and other areas. The two leaders also exchanged views on various regional and global issues of mutual interest and called for dialogue and diplomacy as the way forward. Well, Prime Minister extended his best wishes to the Vice President, Second Lady and their children for a pleasant and productive stay in India. Also, Prime Minister conveyed his warm greetings to President Trump and said that he looked forward to his visit to India later this year. Earlier, US Vice President J.D. Vance and his wife Usha, along with their children, visited Swaminarayan Akshardham Temple in New Delhi, their first stop in India, experiencing its majestic art, architecture and timeless values of faith, family and harmony. Well, US Vice President J.D. Vance arrived in Jaipur with his wife Usha Vance and 3 children. He will be in Jaipur till 24th of April, and during this time he will visit many historical sites, including Amer Fort and Jaipur City Palace. On his arrival at the Amer Palace, he will be accorded a traditional Rajasthani welcome. As is the tradition with the VIP visits, a Jodhpuri turban will also be tied as a welcome gesture. The Vance family will be treated to a puppet dance and folk music. Foolproof security arrangements are in place for the visit of the US Vice President. Vance will address a business summit organized at the Rajasthan International Center on April 22nd, where he will share his views on India-US trade relations. Apart from this, he will also meet Chief Minister Bhajanlal Sharma and Governor Haribhau Baj. On April 23rd, J.D. Vance and family will go to Agra and visit the Taj Mahal. After this, he will return to Jaipur and visit the City Palace. On April 24th, he will leave for Washington, D.C. from Jaipur. And time now for a short break. We'll be back in a while.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. And moving on, Harvard has sued US President Donald Trump's administration to halt the government's pause of more than $2 billion in funding in a sharp escalation of the fight between the university and the Republican. Trump has sought to bring several prestigious universities to heel over claims they tolerated campus anti-Semitism, threatening their budgets, tax-exempt status and the enrollment of foreign students, but Harvard has refused to bow. Among the United States government agencies mentioned in Harvard's lawsuit were the Education Department, the Health Department, and the Justice Department, the Energy Department, and the General Services Administration. The lawsuit calls for the freezing of funds and conditions imposed on federal grants to be declared unlawful, as well as for the Trump administration to pay for Harvard's cost. The administration claims protest against Israel's conflict in Gaza that swept across U.S. college campuses last year were rife with anti-Semitism. And U.S. stocks plunged on Monday as President Donald Trump escalated his attack on Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, sparking concerns over the central bank's independence. The move contributed to steep losses across all major indexes, especially the tech-heavy NASDAQ. Trump's criticism of Powell on Truth Social raised alarms, with the president calling for immediate interest rate cuts. Experts warned that political interference with the Fed could harm economic stability. Meanwhile, escalating U.S.-China trade tensions added further uncertainty, fueling worries among investors. The S&P 500, NASDAQ and the Dow Jones all posted significant losses. As earnings season heats up, investors are keeping a close eye on reports from major firms, including Tesla and Alphabet. And as a mark of respect to Pope Francis, 3-day state mourning will be observed throughout India. 2 days state mourning begins today, while 1 day state mourning on the day of the funeral. During the period of the state mourning, the national flag will be flown at half-mast throughout India on all buildings, where the national flag is flown regularly, and there will be no official entertainment. And on to some business news now. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is visiting US to participate in multilateral dialogues and various fora to showcase India's economic dynamism. On the second day of her visit today, she met General Partner of Andreessen Horowitz, Anjane Midha, and CEO of Vavare Raghu Rama in San Francisco today. The Union Finance Minister discussed the remarkable transformation in technology space driven by the visionary leadership of the Prime Minister. Referring to Digital India program, she suggested to both 16Z on VMware to explore collaboration across sectors within the domain of AI, including in education, healthcare, and AI centers of excellence. Sitharaman also met CEO of Google Cloud, Thomas Kurian, and his team too. The CEO acknowledged and appreciated India's AI mission and the trajectory India is taking under the leadership of the Prime Minister, and called for connecting India to the world via land and sea cables. Thomas Kurian said that Google Cloud aims to operate entirely on carbon-free energy, or CFE, 24/7 at its data centers and offices worldwide by 2030, and spoke about upcoming investment strategy that the group is working on for India. The Finance Minister also met Data Robot CEO Debanjan Saha, underlining the steps taken by India over years to boost digital infrastructure, including budgeting of Rs 10,300 crore for India AI mission, creating AI language technologies through Bharat Gen and Sarvam One, among others. While Debanjan Saha expressed interest in participating in the AI Center of Excellence, for which the Union Budget 2025-26 recently allocated 500 crore rupees. Sitharaman also met Jonathan Siddharth, the founder and CEO of Turing in San Francisco. The CEO expressed his desire to see India at the forefront of AI revolution and spoke about working in the domain of AI with India and through Indian contributors to create a sovereign model that can serve as a template for the world. Sitharaman encouraged Jonathan to explore opportunities for collaboration and fruitful engagement. And Nepal has recorded a remarkable 65% surge in exports during the first 9 months of the current fiscal year, signaling a promising shift in the country's trade trajectory. The increase is driven by rising international demand for Nepali cardamom, tea and coffee. According to the Department of Customs, Nepal exported goods worth 188.19 billion rupees, including cardamom, tea, coffee, sunflower oil, soybean oil and palm oil, while imports rose by 12% to 1,309.53 billion rupees, mainly comprising petrol and diesel. The trade deficit widened by nearly 7% to 1,121.33 billion rupees, though the rise in exports points to improved domestic production and stronger global market reach, with cardamom exports at 6.26 billion rupees and tea and coffee at 3.64 billion rupees. And on to some sports news. Gujarat Titans defeated Kolkata Knight Riders by 39 runs in the Indian Premier League match on Monday night to consolidate their position at the top of points table. Gujarat captain Shubman Gill smashed 90 runs off just 55 balls to help Gujarat Titans post a handsome total of 198 for 3 in 20 overs. Meanwhile, apart from Kolkata captain Ajinkya Rahane, the batting unit failed to fire for the reigning champions. Every single Gujarat Titans bowler took at least one wicket as they extended their lead at the top of points table. Kolkata, on the other hand, are now 4 points adrift of the playoff spots and sit at the 7th position on points table. Kolkata have suffered back-to-back defeats for the first time this season and are now under pressure to return to winning ways, with the second half of the season currently underway. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. Well, we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lapakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.